All right, let's dive right in. The Spiritual Seek published this fantastic piece on a core Stoic idea that, honestly, seems like a total paradox. That thinking about death isn't morbid. In fact, it might be one of the most powerful tools we have for living a more vibrant, more meaningful life. The Stoics really mastered this, and we're going to explore exactly how. So when you hear that word Stoic, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For most of us, a pretty specific image pops up, usually someone who's, a bit of a statue.
Right? The popular stereotype is someone totally emotionless, detached, maybe even a little grim. But the ancient Stoics, they were so much more complex than that. Their philosophy wasn't about pulling back from the world. It was about engaging with it as radically and as fully as you possibly can.
And this quote right here, from the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, it perfectly captures the real heart of Stoicism. See, this isn't a threat, it's a call to action. It's about using the reality of our own mortality to bring focus, urgency, and purpose to every single thing we do. It's about empowerment, not fear.
So let's really get past that whole stone-faced myth. Because Stoicism wasn't dreamed up in some quiet, academic ivory tower. Nope, it was forged in the real world, a world that was filled with chaos, with uncertainty, and with loss.
The story of Stoicism's founder, Zeno of Citium, is just fascinating. He wasn't some lifelong academic. He was a wealthy merchant who lost literally everything in a shipwreck. Stranded in Athens, he stumbled into philosophy and had this profound realization. His money, his cargo, all his stuff was gone. But his character, his inner self, that was still there. And that became the bedrock of Stoicism, a philosophy born from total catastrophe, taught in a public place, for the real challenges of real life.
And the central challenge they decided to tackle, head-on, was our relationship with our own mortality. The Stoics understood that how we think about death, well, it fundamentally shapes how we live our lives.
As historians like Philippe Ariès have pointed out, our modern world tries to hide death away. It's become this sanitized, medicalized thing that's removed from our daily lives. But that actually makes it more terrifying, because it's so unfamiliar. This is a huge contrast to most of history, where death was a familiar communal event, just an accepted part of the life cycle, not something to be denied or hidden away.
So this reevaluation of what truly matters led the Stoics to this brilliant concept, preferred indifference. The idea is that things like health, wealth, even having a long life, yeah, they're great, we'd prefer to have them, but they aren't essential for a good, virtuous life. The quality of your character is the only true good, not the quantity of your years.
Okay, and this is where the philosophy becomes incredibly practical. The Stoics weren't just thinkers, they were doers. They actually developed a set of mental tools, a toolkit really, to translate all these big ideas into a lived, day-to-day reality.
Here are 4 of their most powerful techniques. You can think of them as a mental workout regimen, remembering death every day, preparing for hardship by imagining it beforehand, taking a big-picture cosmic perspective to shrink your ego, and reviewing your day to make sure you're staying on course.
And here's just how practical MementoMori can be. Marcus Aurelius used it to get himself out of bed in the morning. The thought, hey, I might not get another day, transforms hitting the snooze button into this precious opportunity. It reframes a mundane chore like going to work as fulfilling your very purpose as a human. It's such a simple but powerful shift in perspective.
And let's be super clear. These practices like PremeditatioMalorum, where you imagine losing the things you love, they're not about making yourself miserable. It's a form of psychological inoculation. By rehearsing difficulty, you build resilience. And maybe even more importantly, it floods your present moment with so much gratitude for what you have, right here, right now.
And this brings us to the ultimate payoff, because these aren't just some quaint ideas from ancient times. What's amazing is that modern science is increasingly proving that the Stoics were onto something incredibly profound about how the human mind works.
This is one of the most powerful points from the Spiritual Seek's article. Modern psychology just keeps validating these 2,000-year-old techniques. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, it's built on the Stoic idea that our judgments about events, not the events themselves, cause our suffering. Terror management theory shows that reminding people of death actually pushes them to seek more meaning. From palliative care to exposure therapy, Stoic principles are alive and well in our labs and clinics today.
And this all leads to a profound kind of freedom. The Stoic philosopher Seneca put it perfectly with this quote. The slavery he's talking about, that's slavery to our own fears. Fear of loss, fear of pain, and especially
the fear of death. When you learn to die, when you can truly accept mortality, you're no longer controlled by those fears. You become free.
And that's really the question this entire philosophy leaves us with. It's a challenge for sure, but it's also an invitation. If you were to truly accept that your time is finite, what would change for you, starting today? If you stopped running from the end, how would you truly begin to live?